of people rise up and solve the great challenges of our time. We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
All right, welcome everyone to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thank you so much for joining us. We're here live on WYSL until 1 o'clock. So that means if you listen to us here on the live show, you can call in, participate in the conversation, 585-346-3000. 585-346-3000 if you want to call in until 1 o'clock. But of course, shout out to our friends listening online as well on A Free Solution, the Facebook page, the Kevin Wilson Facebook page, A Free Solution YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe there. And the Kevin Wilson Twitter as well, at Kevin Wilson ROC. If you want to follow me, see my tweets. It's not that interesting, but it's all right. Today, we're talking about something. Rochester is once again in the national news for a bad thing. Again, for something related to the Rochester Police Department. So we talked about that issue quite a bit when the Daniel Brood stuff came out, when the Black Lives Matter protest stuff was happening last summer. And, well, because it's in the national news again and it's happening in my home city, I feel like I want to talk about it. And I want to talk about what happens, whether or not this is one of those situations where we need to wait and get more context, and what we can do about it, if anything. And what I think the next steps are, and what I expect to see out of political movements out of this as well. So we're going to talk about all that stuff. And if you feel like you have something to add, for or against me, whatever, give me a call. Again, 585-346-3000, or leave your comments online. I'm watching the comment sections as well. So thanks for being here. So here's the context of what happened. And you're going to see this in the headlines. It's going to say something like Rochester Police sprayed irritant in the face of handcuffed 9-year-old in back of police car. And yeah, that is a rage-inducing headline. And and it should be. Like I'm gonna go out and think here and say that, like, there is no situation in which I can imagine justifying pepper spraying a 9-year-old child in any situation, much less a 9-year-old child who is handcuffed in the back of a police car. It is disgraceful. It's disgusting. It's enraging. People want to add context to this. I get it. So let's back up. What actually happened with this situation? I did watch some of the body cam video. I will make sure I share that on my Facebook page. I'll share it both on A Free Solution and the Kevin Wilson Libertarian Facebook page. If you guys want to see the video of what happened too, it is very hard to watch. It's very distressing. But if you want to see what actually happens, that's what it is. I can't show you guys over the radio what the video is, but you guys can go and look at it yourself. There's also kind of longer videos that show what happened leading up to this as well. And it's not good. It's an awful situation. So backing up, how this incident started is I guess the police were called because there was a call about a stolen car or something. But what it kind of turned out to be is that there was basically a domestic violence situation. And in this situation, when the police had kind of assessed it, the little girl, the 9-year-old child, was running away. She was threatening to harm herself and to harm her mother, and she was trying to run away. And the police came and tried to stop her, tried to slow her down, tried to calm her down. She was very distraught. It's an upsetting situation. Sometime later on, the mother comes in too, and it doesn't look good for her either. She upsets her child. She starts screaming nasty things at passersby who are just trying to kind of see what's going on. They see what happens with police. They're worried. They just want to make sure everyone's okay. She starts yelling some nasty stuff at them. It sounds like it's a really ugly domestic violence situation. I don't know all the details of that. I'm sure we're going to find that. I don't really. What happened with the mom is not really an excuse for what the police officers did, though. So I'm gonna kind of lay that out there. It's not good. I know the mom is now suing the city, and there's a few people talking about like, well, the mom shouldn't get any of the money for that. Okay, fine. That's. But let's talk about. I like thinking about the policy things, right? What does this mean for policy and public safety for people in Rochester and for people in other cities with police departments that are considering their use of force policy against children? And I want to put that use of force policy against children in a bigger context later on in the show as well. So anyway, the little girl, she's screaming for her dad. She's screaming for her dad, saying she wants to see her dad. She's apparently worried that her dad may have been hurt, supposedly from what I read in some of the accounts and seeing in the body cam. It seems like she's worried about that. And the police are trying to get her in the car. And again, this is a child. She doesn't seem to fully understand. She's in fight or flight mode. She's panicking, just screaming for her dad. And the way the police choose to handle this is by handcuffing this child, again, 9-year-old child. They, in the process of trying to do that, they knock her into the snow. It's freezing out. And you could say, well, they're trying to get her in a warm car, get the situation under control, make sure she doesn't run away. Okay, this is a 9-year-old child, though, and she's being met with force and violence at this point. And we do have to put a pin in it there to say, well, at this point, didn't the city of Rochester set up a new person in crisis task force, a new team to be able to respond to incidents like this? And said what happened, as this little girl's running away, the police officer says, well, we're going to have, 6 more cop cars come and get you if you run away. That's how the Rochester Police Department escalated this. Suddenly there's a whole bunch of people, whole bunch of police officers out here trying to restrain this child. How is that an appropriate response? Aren't we now spending a bunch of money to make sure that this type of stuff doesn't happen? Didn't we spend a bunch of money to make sure that when people are in crisis, we don't do this? And we're talking about adults in crisis, too. Adults in mental health crisis. People like Daniel Prude, who is in crisis. In the city of Rochester said, well, we don't want this to happen anymore, so we're going to create a new team for this. It was just rolled out. Now, I didn't particularly like the rollout since they couldn't answer questions about whether or not Daniel Prude actually would have been an appropriate call for him, which is mind-boggling to me. And I'll see if I get the exact quote after the break. But my goodness, if we've just experienced this, if we've just kind of gone through a process of maybe the police aren't the best one to resolve all of these situations, why can't the city of Rochester government and the Rochester Police Department be able to make the quick, on-the-ground decisions to say, okay, maybe police who don't necessarily have this training, maybe they aren't the best person to respond to a child who's having a crisis. Maybe it's not the best response. Instead of trying to help the child calm down, help the child understand the situation, indicate that you're trying to help the child get what she needs, putting her in restraints, and ultimately pepper spraying her. My goodness, like that, how is that in any way acceptable? Like I could see the logic in defending the Daniel Prude situation a little bit. Like I didn't like it, but I could see the logic in that. I cannot see the logic in this. I cannot see how this is a good or appropriate outcome. And the only person I've seen defending this is really the head of the Rochester Locust Club, Mike Mazzio. And, we'll talk about what he said specifically after the break. But how is this in any way okay? This does need to be fixed. This is not something that is ever okay for police to do. And again, I am enraged to see a child hurt like this. It's awful. And I know she's in a tough situation, and the police made it worse. This is the exact type of incident and the response from the police union too, that gets people to want to talk about abolishing the police, defunding the police. And again, I'm not quite on that level, but my goodness, we need to do something different here. All right, we'll keep talking about this after the break. If you have anything to weigh in on this, give us a call. 585-346-3000. 585-346-3000. You're listening to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
When you've been seriously injured in a car crash, you need a lawyer who knows how to beat the big insurance companies. Call me and I'll take them on so you can focus on your health and family.
Car crash, call Salino. Salino, call Salino. 888-2020.
Main Street, Rochester. A message from the National Police Association. It used to be that any able-bodied person would offer to assist a police officer in danger. Now, passers-by are more likely to take a video. There's a better use for your phone when an officer's in trouble. Call 911. Tell the operator where you are and what you see. Then, start your video to provide evidence later. To learn more about how you can assist law enforcement, visit nationalpolice.org. That's nationalpolice.org.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A free solution.
All right, welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being here. And I am getting a few comments online. I can always count on you guys on the internet to throw a wrench in the mix. But let's read them off. I appreciate all of you being here. And again, shout out down the line to our friends over at WACK out in Newark and WENY, the Patriot, down in the southern tier as well. Thank you for listening today. And if you want to contact me too, go to my Facebook page, either the Kevin Wilson one or A Free Solution. Send me a message if you have questions, concerns, stuff you want me to bring up on a future show, either related to this one or just a general topic you're interested in. I'll answer them. I don't always do the show. Can't do them all, but I will read them and acknowledge them. So got a couple comments from a couple people named Nick. Two different people. Nick P says, so the city does not have a psych response team. As an EMT, these things can get nasty and dangerous. The city does, in fact, have a person in crisis team. It's something that they're just rolling out. So this is specifically created in the wake of the Daniel Prude stuff, and they wanted people to be able to respond to people in crisis. And in addition to that, too, they do have like a mental health response crisis team. I don't know what the status is on that specific to this situation. And I don't know if that would have applied specifically, but it does seem like police officers, and to describe police officers are often put in a position where the most accessible tool is to use violence to get compliance with what they're asking someone to do, right? So it's not an excuse for what happened, but that is how a lot of police departments, and not specifically RPD, I don't know, but that's how a lot of these things end up happening. Police officers should be empowered to, if they see a situation like this, which is, where there's a child in distress or someone in mental health crisis, they should be able to easily call in someone who is better equipped to handle that situation. And in the meantime, just try to keep things calm, to de-escalate. In this situation, we didn't see de-escalation. And there's some great articles from people who are child advocates who talk about some of the different ways in which they could have done that. Get on the child's level, which, one of the female officers did initially try to do. Just try to talk calmly, try to address the need that she wanted. She wanted to see her dad. Okay, so let's talk about how you can make her feel like that's going to happen. Okay, what's your name? How can we contact your dad? Whatever, just try to get the child to calm down. Find different tools to be able to do that. Another comment from Nick B. I've been on calls where things went sideways because of parents. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to make excuses for how the mom was reacting. That was pretty ugly stuff. And it sounds like this girl may be in a traumatic situation. It's bad. And parents are, it seemed like that mom escalated the situation. So yeah, it's ugly stuff. Don't like that either. But I think cops still had a responsibility to not pepper spray a 9-year-old child. That was not an okay outcome. Not at all an okay thing to do. And I'm not sure how anyone can look at this situation and not be enraged by it. That's just me. I don't know how you can do that, though. You don't have kids yet, and yeah, it's infuriating. All right. Nick Smith says, so who do you want to call? The mother is threatening to beat her daughter's A word if she didn't get her F word self back inside. If the police leave because they don't have training and the girl does get beat down, then what? I'm not saying that the police need to even leave the situation. I'm saying that as soon as they realize what it was, the city of Rochester has promised to respond to incidences of crisis better, right? 911 is supposed to respond to incidents of crisis better. There's both a county level unit and a city level unit that's supposed to be able to do these things better. So all I'm asking, all I think most people with a heart are asking, is that in that process of trying to get them help, because police officers are supposed to help us, in theory, to not pepper spray a 9-year-old girl. Nick B has another comment. As an EMP who's faced these situations, I can tell you that these things take time and patience. Cops are there to protect everyone if it goes sideways. However, I never felt adequately trained to handle these issues. Again, I do think that there's some training issues too. And it's something like people like Lovely Warren have promised to do over and over again. And I am sick of hearing her come out and be like, well, we want to be on top of this thing. She's trying to get in front of the crisis. Man, she's been the mayor for like 7 years. She's running for her third term, despite, her facing criminal charges for her campaign finance stuff and who knows what else for the possible cover-up of the Daniel Prude stuff. We're going to see more about that on Friday. My goodness, at some point, you are in power. The buck stops somewhere. I have no sympathy. I don't know. I don't know what to do with Lovely Warren, because I think she makes excuses and she tries to do everything to come out of ugly situations clean and doesn't take accountability for, again, a city that she has led for most of my time living here. Actually, I moved in only a few years before she became mayor. And yeah, if the police department is a mess, that is widely within the purview of the mayor. She was on city council before that. You got to own it. You got to own it. Ivan says, Lovely's never been ready for prime time. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know who's going to run against her other than I think Malik Evans is running against her. I don't know if there's going to be a Republican or Libertarian or Green running against her in this election, but man, like, you got to do something substantial about this or, you know, get out of the way, and hopefully someone else can do something to fix these issues. So let me go back to, again, you know, filling out the narrative of what happened. Again, they're trying to get this child in the car. She's screaming. She's screaming for her father. The police officers are. One of them yells at her like, "You're acting like a child," because she wouldn't get in the car. She screams back, "I am a child." And again, they eventually kind of get her in, but they're getting impatient. They're getting frustrated. Someone just says, "Well, just spray her already," and that's what they do. They spray her. They tell a 9-year-old child, like, "Oh, if you don't like get your feet in the car, we're gonna pepper spray you." Like, is that? Some of you listening are parents. How do you deal with that? How do you deal if your child's just freaking out, having a tantrum, not sure what to do? Do you use violence against your child? Do you use a chemical irritant against your child because they're not getting in the car? Because they're scared? Because they're upset? Of course you wouldn't. If you did, you would be a monster, and you'd get arrested for abusing your child, because that's not acceptable. So far, what we've seen is the officers are being suspended. I don't know what will happen next. I think last I heard, 3 of them were suspended, but I accidentally closed out my tweet, or the news story that had that, so I've got to look that up again. Got another comment. Jericho, it's sad situation. The child should have been treated just like any other abuse victim, more victim of mental health issues. Instead, she was treated like a criminal. I can think of 100 things that would have been better in that situation, but instead they resulted to force. Again, remember, this child wasn't a criminal. This child wasn't suspected of doing anything wrong. This was a scared child who was running away from potentially a violent situation. She wasn't a criminal who was out to hurt someone, who was suspected of hurting someone, who could have done anything significant in this situation. Again, it was a 9-year-old girl. And instead of treating her like a victim, instead of treating her with empathy, they got impatient. And again, I recognize that police officers are in stressful situations. It's hard to make the right decision. But if the decision that you come to in this situation, I can't ever see a right solution where pepper spraying a 9-year-old child is the right thing to do. And we got, the Mike Mansley of the police union had saying, he made a decision that he thought was the best action to take. It resulted in no injury to her. Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? No, that's not okay. What I get that it's his job to defend police officers, but no, that's never an okay decision to arrive at. Not at all. Yeah. So this stuff's got. I want to talk about all this Monday too. I was fired up about this Monday. Wasn't feeling well. It's a bit. I've kind of had pent up energy to talk about this. I know it's already flushed through the national news cycle, but it's still worth examining the process of this and trying to figure out what do we do next. And that's what I want to get to next. A few solutions and how we can make things better. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. If you want to participate in the conversation, give us a call, 585-346-3000. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
be muzzled. AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center. For tonight, we'll have partly cloudy skies. Temps will be down well into the 20s, so a little melting today. There might be a few icy spots that develop overnight tomorrow morning, so be aware of that. On your Thursday, fair weather coming up, sun and clouds, temperatures in the 30s. On Friday, a front will come through, a gust of wind. There could be a little mixed ice, rain, or snow shower in the morning, rain shower in the afternoon in the 30s. I'm Rich Canilia, WYSL.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
At Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Anthony Drive off Route 96 in Victor. They're helping you drive safe during winter weather and save big at the same time with 4x4 security and Jeep quality and luxury. For a limited time, lease a 21 Jeep Gladiator Sport 4x4, $199 a month for 42 months. A 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo 4x4 is just $279 a month for 36 months. Lease a 2020 Jeep Renegade Latitude 4x4, only $159 a month for 36 months. Or a 2021 Jeep Compass Latitude 4x4 is $179 a month for 36 months. The 2021 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited is just $309 a month for 39 months. Jeep, America's iconic four-wheel drive brand. And Victor's got a great selection. $2,500 cash or trade and other conditions apply. Be sure to get full details from the dealer. Equipment and MSRP vary by model. We're here to fully serve Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram customers in Victor, Canandaigua, Macedon, Fairport, and throughout the Metro and Finger Lakes. Shop with confidence and safety and full CDC compliance. Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, 6560 Anthony Drive in Victor.
Are you looking to update the kitchen, bath, or flooring in your home, but don't know where to begin? Whether it's cabinetry, carpeting, hardwood flooring, tile, or kitchen and bathroom remodeling, Claridge Design Center in Chilai Paul Plaza is the place to start. Locally owned with over 25 years in business, Claridge custom designs and builds quality remodeling projects throughout Rochester and Monroe County. At Claridge, the visions and ideas you have for your home are developed with the experienced Claridge designers to make your dream project a reality. And the quality of service you receive at Claridge is second to none. For more information or to schedule an appointment, call Claridge at 889-5800 or visit their website to meet the Claridge team. See examples of their finished work at claridgedesigncenter.com.
Take it, Tony.
How's that, Zach?
Terrific, man. Hold on. Hello?
Honey, we need help. The furnace won't turn on, and it's freezing in here.
Oh, man, now I really got the blues.
What's the skinny, Zach?
The furnace is shot, and that ain't hot. What am I going to do, brother?
Call Taylor. 500 Help. Their heating experts will fix things up and have you singing in no time.
500 Help. Now that's a hot number.
I think I'm really getting it, man.
Call Taylor 500 Help.
When 13-year-old Abram was visiting Mary Cariola Center, he was dealing with profound deafness. Through the support of his adopted family and his team at Cariola, Abram was progressing well and making great strides in his education. Then came COVID and in-person schools closing. But with Mary Cariola's assistive technology, Abram is still meeting great milestones each day. If you'd like to donate to help kids like Abram continue to flourish, visit marycariola.org. That's Mary, CARIOLA.org. Transforming the lives of people with disabilities.
Looking for a beautiful Brockport home that's close to everything? The Meadows Apartments in Brockport are just minutes from the Central School and SUNY Brockport campuses. Convenient to Lake Ontario, shopping, parks, and restaurants. Choose from 1, 2, and 3-bedroom apartments in our village community with many amenities. The Meadows Apartment community in Brockport features a swimming pool and convenient in-building laundry centers. Come take an apartment tour and meet our friendly and knowledgeable on-site staff on Ellis Drive in Brockport, or visit themeadowsny.com to learn more.
I want to cook you the best cheeseburger ever, in your life, ever. I'm Camden from Tom Walls. Fresh ground steak, 2 slices of cheese. We don't cut corners. Tom Walls.
Tom Walls.
A free solution.
All right, welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being here. And we did get a call during the last segment. I think it was Bonnie from Rochester, who was asking about the about what the initial call was, which I had mentioned at the beginning of the show, but it's all right. Happy to review it. It was, from what I understood, it was for a call about a stolen vehicle. But, you know, they kind of figured out quickly that this was for something else. This is for, you know, a child in crisis. Again, child who was running away. She put on her little backpack and ran away. She was apparently threatening to hurt herself or threatening to hurt her mom. And, yeah, so this was, as they start to arrive on the scene, you know, it looked more like a domestic violence type situation or, you know, just a child in crisis situation. And kind of, at the time, there needs to be a process for police officers, and maybe there already is, and this is something that people need to ask more information about. Can police call in, you know, like a call come, I get that, like, situations can change, right? Like, the 911 dispatch doesn't always know exactly what's happening, and they may think they're going into one situation, and suddenly it's something else, right? Like, I get that happens. Police officers, if they're not already being trained for this, should be trained to call in the person in crisis unit or some other agency to help in situations that are kind of beyond their normal purview. And again, this is when people talk about like defunding the police, which I think is kind of bad and not actually true. I don't know that the branding works. Like libertarian, I think, oh yeah, defunding something, great. But I don't think that it's actually what's happening. Most people talk about like kind of breaking up police responsibilities into other areas. That instead of having police respond to domestic violence, mental health crisis, child abuse situations, you have other people who have the specialization and the training to de-escalate and to handle these situations better. And it's not to say that police shouldn't be on standby to be around to handle violence, because that's what police are trained to do. They're trained to handle violent people. And sometimes you do need to use force. Now, the press release from the police saying that they were required, that was the word, to use an irritant, said the exact quote, this required an officer to use an irritant on the minor. No, how are they required to do that? Of course they're not. It's ridiculous. And again, they were trying to get this child in the car so that they could bring this child to the hospital for like mental health evaluation and help. It's not helping. And, you know, the police union rep saying that the officers didn't break policies. There weren't any policies in place for this. Come on, like, do you really need a policy in place to say that you can't pepper spray a 9-year-old girl? Like, if I'm sorry, if you're the type of police officer who thinks like, oh well, it wasn't against the rules, you know, so, oops. No, you shouldn't be on the force. I'm sorry, like I don't want you coming to my house, and when things start to seem out of control for you, you think it's okay to spray me, or my wife, or my dog, or, you know, my child, which is on the way. I don't want that. I don't want that type of person near me if I'm going to get subject to violence when I need help. Stay away from me. Don't do that. It's not just about policies. Now, I know there's now a law proposed by a couple of the local senators. I think Desmond Meeks is, well, I think, is Assemblyman who's proposing that, and I also saw that. I'm blanking on their names now, but the two newly elected Democratic senators in the area are proposing that it is illegal for police departments to use chemical irritants on children, which, yeah, that I get that. I get that as a response to this. Samara Breck, that's her name, and Jeremy Cooney. Those are two that I saw that they're proposing that. And, I kind of get that. It's funny, you can talk to people who've attended City of Rochester schools, and most of them have a story about getting pepper sprayed in school, too. High school students, again, it's seen as a nicer thing, but if you've ever been near that stuff, it's not great. It'll ruin your day for sure. And especially if you're in a small confined space, that's harmful to the people to the bystanders, even not even just like a student you're trying to control, like if two students are fighting or something. So when you have school resource officers using chemical irritants against older children, but children nonetheless, it's still not great. That's why people are talking about getting police out of schools. That's what they mean by that. It's because they've seen that stuff happen. A lot of people have stories about if they didn't get pepper sprayed, then one of their friends got pepper sprayed, or they watch someone get pepper sprayed, and because it's in a small room, everyone's puking. That's what happens. I did not experience that in my school. I went to school over in Oriskany, New York. All right, sounds like we got a caller on the line, though. Eric from Allegheny. Eric, welcome to A Free Solution. What's on your mind, sir?
Hello, my sir. Hey, how's it going today? Thanks for taking my call. Okay, there's a couple of things that people might want to look into for some kind of reasons of why we're at this point of the police doing what they're doing. There was a case in the year 2000 called Jordan versus the City of New London, Connecticut. That's Robert Jordan, J-O-R-D as in David, A-N as in Nancy, Robert Jordan versus the City of New London. The 2000 case, and it's commonly known as the Too Smart to Be a Cop case. And in this case, an applicant named Robert Jordan, who wanted to be a police officer for the City of New London, took the test to become a cop, and he scored too high. And the policy of the police department was that they were only looking for someone with an IQ of roughly 100 to 105, and this guy came in with an IQ of roughly 125 based on the test parameters. And because the policy was in writing and stated by the police department, they were fully open and honest and said, we're only looking for guys with this much mental capacity. It even went to the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, who ruled in favor of the City of New London, and they said that's okay. You can discriminate against somebody who's too smart to be a cop. And since then, police departments across the nation have been hiring low IQ, sorry to use the word goons, who will shoot first and ask questions later, to put it bluntly. Now, another thing people are going to want to look at is a research paper done by Francis McCafferty, and it's called The Corruption Process of a Law Enforcement Officer, a Paradigm of Occupational Stress and Deviancy. That's The Corruption Process of a Law Enforcement Officer, a Paradigm of Occupational Stress and Deviancy, and it lays out very well exactly what the problem is with the system and some of the policies and the drug war and, all these. It's a very cogent and very important, I think, piece of literature for people to read by that Dr. Francis McCafferty. And so between that paper, the research paper that was very well done, I've read it, and this Robert Jordan versus the City of New London case, we have some explanations as to really kind of the genesis of where we went wrong with our policing.
Huh. Yeah, no, I did look up the Jordan versus New London case. I totally forgot about this case because I do remember reading about this a while ago. And, I don't know that's a full explanation, and I know that there are a lot of smart, dedicated police officers on the force, so I don't want to paint with too broad of a brush here, but like the hiring process is, yeah, it's a pretty, that case is a head scratcher. Like, why wouldn't you want really smart people on the force? It is a fascinating read, and I appreciate you bringing that up, and I appreciate you bringing up the other stuff too, because yeah, high stress situations can lead to a deterioration in the quality of your job, and that's what police officers face every day too. So I have some empathy for that. Limited though. All right, so we'll be back here in a few minutes on a free solution. Thanks so much for joining us. Talk to you soon.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Hi, my name is Ryan Bourne.
And I'm Danica Bourne.
And we're the owners of South Coast Tax. We would like to thank our Lord for protecting us from evil. Psalm 91 states, "He is my refuge and my fortress, for he will rescue us from every trap and protect us from deadly disease."
South Coast Tax are Christian-based tax accountants and attorneys who specialize in releasing bank levies, wage garnishments, and filing complex tax returns. We are the leaders in acceptance of offers and compromise with awesome results.
We are also a small firm who will treat you like family and not just a number.
Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176 for a free consultation, and we'll take the time to explain all of the programs that you qualify for in order to allow you a fresh start.
In John 8:36, so if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. And one way we can achieve that is by being debt-free. So let us help you today. Call us at 1-800-TAX-1176, and together we can help achieve this goal by putting the IRS tax debt behind you for good. Again, that number is 1-800-TAX-1176.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A free solution.
All right, welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for being here. We do still have Eric on the line, and I will let you get to. I got a question from Jericho on here as well. Said, does this case apply to other departments as well? Is this a policy in other places? I don't know that necessarily is, so it's not a universal thing, but it did. The courts did say that police departments could set IQ and testing limitations, like a ceiling on what's acceptable, which is, again, a very strange thing to do. But Eric, are you still on the line? You want to talk about one solution to this? Because the last segment, I want to talk about solutions. What can we? How can we make this better?
I'll be brief. First of all, the answer to your gentleman's question: once that the Second Circuit Court of Appeals ruled in favor of the city of New London, that set what's called a precedent for departments across the country to do the same thing. That's number one. Number two, got to get rid of the municipal police. They're nothing more than an extension of the mayor or whoever appoints that chief. And we need to go back to all sheriff's deputies because the sheriff is elected. You can elect him or her in or out. You can elect a good sheriff. So it has to be sheriffs instead of city cops. Get rid of all the municipal police, deputize them, get rid of the bad ones, and make them all sheriffs. And then the last thing is, if I posted online a criminal trespass warning, it's at courtroomwatch.com, and people can serve that on any bad cops, health department workers, or anybody else who compels them under force to perform unlawfully.
Oh, all right. Well, I don't know what that is, and I don't know much about that part, but you can share it in the comments over on a free solution on our Facebook page, and yeah, people will be able to see that in there. But Eric, yeah. Yeah, Eric, I appreciate you being here on the show today. I appreciate you bringing that solution because that is something that we could do. Is like with more accountability in our police departments by going back to direct elections. Now, municipal police departments used to be elected way back in the day, and they were kind of rolled into, more like mayoral elections. Like the mayor ended up getting more control of police departments in part to reduce corruption. That was the intention, right? But, maybe that's something we need to explore again because sheriffs have a lot more direct accountability to the people than police departments themselves. We've got to hope in Rochester, for instance, that Lovely Warren is actually going to do something to keep people accountable. Instead, we have, we're going to see what happens with LaRon Singletary Friday, the former police chief, and whether or not the current police chief is going to make any reforms for this. So, again, thank you so much, Eric, for that call and bringing up those the lawsuit and the solution here as well. And I did want to talk about one other solution too, because what's going to happen is so the mother of this child is kind of expressed her intent to sue the city. If she does sue the city, they're going to win something. They're going to win a settlement because, again, police officers pepper sprayed a 9-year-old girl who was in crisis. Of course, they're going to get a settlement. Now, who's going to pay for that? Is it going to be the police officers? I mean, unless they face criminal charges. The civil lawsuit? No, it's going to be people like me. I live in the city of Rochester. I'm going to end up paying for that. We are going to end up paying for that, us in the city of Rochester. That's what's going to happen. That's how these lawsuits work. What we could do instead, and I talked about this over the summer as well, is to make sure all police officers have to carry professional liability insurance. They carry a personal policy. It can be paid for by the unions. If I know there's some people pretty grumpy with unions right now, want to abolish the police union. I get it. It felt that way earlier this week. But either way, having police officers have personal or professional liability insurance that's specific to them, and if they are sued, just like a doctor, their insurance company pays it out. Now, if an insurance company sees that the police officers engaging in a lot of high-risk behavior, a lot of behavior that's likely to cost them money, well, they're going to start raising that cost. The premiums are going to go up. And if the insurance company is having to pay out too often, what's going to happen? The insurance company is going to say, no, we're not going to cover them anymore. It's just too expensive. They're too much of a risk. Sorry, you're going to have to go somewhere else. Or not have insurance at all, and therefore not be employable. That is a way for markets, for private companies, to have an additional check on police abuse. It doesn't solve the problem completely. There's other policy things that need to be taken care of as well. But that is a way for at least, people like me not to have to pay for abusive behavior by police officers. And again, I'm calling this abusive. You pepper spray a 9-year-old child. That is not acceptable in any sense. This isn't a gray situation where, maybe like the situation was out of control when you pepper spray a child. No, that's not okay. No. I don't want to have to pay for that. A city of Rochester resident shouldn't have to pay for that, and you shouldn't have to pay for that if it's coming from your local sheriff's department or from your municipal police department either. We shouldn't have to pay for those mistakes. They should have to carry insurance. that makes sense. And again, if you're on the right or left and you're concerned about police abuse, this is a check on that. This is a check on the power of unions and city governments protecting bad police officers. And I can say without a doubt that that happens a lot. There's a tremendous amount of evidence that they do protect bad police officers. And I get that's what unions do, is they protect their employees, right? But they're protecting police officers in some cases, and I think is a small number of cases, that are hurting people. And if we had that additional check of the insurance companies, I think that would be better. It'd be better than what we have now. So that's a way for markets to deal with this. Again, we could have other laws to deal with this specific situation. You can't use chemical irritants on a child. Okay, sure. I think part of it is I do think that police do too much. And I've said that a lot. I think police should, in this situation, someone else should have been there. As soon as the police knew about it, as soon as police figured out what was going on, they should have said, okay, we have X, Y, and Z options to call. We think that this might be domestic abuse, or we think this might be child abuse. We think this might be a mental health crisis for a child. There are great organizations, especially in Rochester, which has a great network of stuff, to call someone else to say, hey, this child's in crisis. We're not trained to deal with this. How soon can you get here? That is better than what we have now. Police shouldn't have to do everything. It's not fair to ask police to do everything. They can't be trained for everything. They're not superhuman. Again, I don't think what happened here is okay or an excuse for what happened, but they aren't superhuman either. And mistakes get made because they're asked to do too much. They're asked to solve too much. So take some of that police budget if you need to, or whatever. Move it over into having some of these other organizations respond. I know people like to mock, like, oh, you're going to have a social worker respond to some of these calls? Like, sometimes yes. Sometimes yes. If you can have a social worker solve that, fine, whatever. If they know how to de-escalate the situation, they're willing to take the risks of that, because they're taking, they're going to be taking a risk in the same way that police officers taking a risk, then fine. But other situations, if you have someone with a gun threatening to kill someone, okay, yeah, you want a police officer that. If you have, someone in an active robbery, okay, yeah, you want a police officer to solve that. You want a social worker to solve that one. But someone in a mental health crisis, a child who is experiencing trauma, a domestic abuse situation, maybe we don't need police for those ones. Maybe they could be around in case the situation escalates and you do need another solution. But maybe someone else who is trained, who has spent their whole life solving these problems, maybe they need to be the ones on the front line here. I think that's pretty reasonable. And that's what I'd like to see. I think that the city of Rochester is interestingly heading in that direction, but they failed here. They have set up a network to be able to respond to, I think, this exact situation, and they failed. And we need to ask city leaders in Rochester and in your communities as well to do better. That's what I'm hoping to see out of all this. So I appreciate you all being here, listening to the show. We'd love to hear your feedback after this as well. I know I covered a ton in this episode. Message me on Facebook, on Twitter, wherever. Leave a comment on YouTube, wherever you're listening. Thanks for being here. If you have more solutions, we'll talk about them here on A Free Solution. I'll be back on Friday. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, though, for Larry Sharp. Talk to you then.